Somewhere along your journey of awakening, it happened. You saw the illusion, the veil lifted, and for a moment, everything was breathtakingly clear. And then, silence. At first, the quiet was powerful, a relief. But slowly, subtly, that sense of meaning just vanished. It's like your soul quietly turned down the volume on life. The old ambitions, the old desires, they're just faint echoes now. It feels like your entire psychological nervous system has been rewired, but the new operating manual is missing. The old commands don't work, and you're left staring at a blank screen, wondering what's wrong with you. We expect spiritual awakening to ignite our passion, to fill us with a divine purpose. But for so many of us, it does the exact opposite. It empties us. It leaves us asking one terrifying question. Why do I feel so numb now that I finally see the truth? But what if this emptiness isn't a bug, but a feature? What if this confusing void isn't a sign that you failed, but proof that something deep within you is succeeding? What if it's a sacred biological reboot that is preparing you for a more authentic, resilient life? So if this void isn't a mistake, what is it? It's a vehicle, a sacred one. And to understand its purpose, we have to look to the wisdom of our oldest stories and our deepest biology. The great mythologist Joseph Campbell studied the legends of heroes from every culture across time. He found that every hero, on their journey of transformation, must pass through a stage he called the belly of the whale. This is the point where the hero crosses into the unknown and is utterly annihilated. They are swallowed by darkness, their old self dissolved, their old world gone forever. Campbell saw this not as a death, but as a transit into a sphere of rebirth. The hero must be erased to be reborn. This dark, confusing place you're in, it has an ancient name. It's the belly of the whale. It is not a detour. It is the path. Nature shows us this same brutal, beautiful process. To become a butterfly, a caterpillar must first build a cocoon. But what happens inside is not a simple repackaging. The caterpillar completely dissolves. It turns into a formless, nutrient-rich soup. It becomes, for lack of a better word, goo. That goo isn't a mistake. It's the raw material for miracles. This is where you are now. You are in the cocoon. You are the goo. And goo doesn't get stuff done. It doesn't hustle. It doesn't have a 5-year plan. It doesn't answer emails. Its only job is to dissolve, to let go of its old form so a new one can be created. The shame you feel about your inaction is the caterpillar judging itself for no longer being a caterpillar, without realizing it's on the verge of becoming something else entirely. While those analogies of the cocoon and the whale's belly feel poetically true, they are powerful for a reason. They mirror a deep physical process happening right now inside your brain and body. This allows us to move past metaphor and into physiology, which is crucial for dismantling the most painful part of this experience, the feeling that you, personally, are broken. I have a friend who is one of the most brilliant and driven people I know. A master of 5-year plans and relentless execution, she built a thriving consulting business from scratch. But after a massive awakening experience, she found herself adrift. She called me one afternoon, her voice quiet. "I've been staring at the ceiling for 3 days," she said. "I used to be fueled by ambition. Now I don't care whether I do anything at all. I thought awakening was supposed to light me up, not leave me feeling like a ghost in my own life." She was convinced she had failed, that some vital part of her had been extinguished. What she was actually experiencing was a profound and predictable dopamine recalibration. Our brains are hardwired for balance, a state called homeostasis. Intense experiences, especially spiritual peak states that flood our system with a fireworks show of bliss, connection, and insight, swing our neurochemical pendulum way out to one side. But your brain knows it can't live in that state of emergency forever. To restore balance, the pendulum must swing back. And it doesn't just stop at the center, it has to travel just as far into the opposite territory. This biological overshoot is why the follow-up to an intense high is so often a deep low of motivation and reward sensitivity. This isn't theory, it's being validated by hard science. One landmark study took participants on a 1-week intensive spiritual retreat. Researchers scanned their brains before and after and found lasting changes, specifically a significant decrease in what are called dopamine transporters. In simple terms, this means the entire dopamine system had begun to rewire itself for a new normal, one where more dopamine remains available in the synapse over time. Your brain isn't just taking a break, it is physically re-architecting its foundation for a new way of operating. Think of your brain like a computer that just ran a massive processor melting program. It must go into an idle state to cool down, defragment its hard drive, and integrate the critical updates. Or, even better, think of yourself as a marathon runner who just crossed the finish line. In that final mile, you were euphoric, driven by adrenaline and a singular goal. But the moment you stop, your body screams for rest, the muscles ache, the mind is spent. No runner finishes a marathon and then guilts themselves for not wanting to immediately run another one. They feel pride in their accomplishment and understand that recovery is not a failure to perform. It is a non-negotiable part of the process. So let go of the idea that you are broken. Instead, grant yourself the grace of a marathon runner in recovery. Your brain isn't failing you. It is faithfully and intelligently rebooting. Trust the biological imperative. This is all well and good, you might be thinking. But how am I supposed to be goo when I have bills to pay and kids to feed? The real world doesn't pause just because I've had an epiphany. This is the central, unavoidable tension of the journey. To ignore it is to float into spiritual bypassing. To be crushed by it is to abandon the awakening. The answer is not to retreat from the world, but to learn to live a 2-track life, guided by a new set of principles. The first track is sacred maintenance. You still have to pay the bills, answer the emails, and feed the family. But you must radically reframe why. Before, these tasks were likely fueled by ego, the need to achieve, to be seen as responsible, to build a certain kind of life. Now they become acts of sacred duty. Paying your mortgage is not a soul-crushing obligation. It is the act of providing a safe, stable vessel, your home, for this profound transformation to occur. Making dinner for your family is not a chore. It is the physical expression of care that grounds your spirit in love. You are not abandoning your duties. You are infusing them with a deeper purpose. You can also think of the day as 2 radio stations running at once. Station 1, practical static. You still swipe the card at the pump, answer the 2:15 call from the pharmacy, fish Lego bricks out of the dog's bowl. The difference is motive. You're no longer doing these things to become someone impressive. You're doing them to keep the signal clear. Station 2, the whisper. While the ego keeps cranking out billboards, start a side hustle, write the memoir, monetize the miracle, the deeper voice barely disturbs the air. It's the hunch to call the friend you haven't pictured in years, the sudden urge to sit on the back steps and listen to wind move through maple leaves, or the unreasonable curiosity about wheel-thrown bowls. No ROI, no 5-year plan, just a tug. Ignore it and nothing explodes. Follow it, and the path rewrites itself one quiet step at a time. The second track is honest exploration. This is your answer to the what's next question. Your old goal-setting mind, the ego, will try to fill the void with loud shouts. You should start a new business. You should write a book. You should become a life coach. This is the ego trying to reclaim control with familiar patterns of doing. Your work now is to ignore the shouts and learn to hear the whispers. The self, the deeper consciousness you've touched, doesn't shout, it whispers. It offers a quiet, honest pull towards something, often without a clear reason. It's the difference between forcing yourself to go to a loud networking event because you feel you should, and feeling a gentle, persistent nudge to have coffee with one specific person without quite knowing why. A whisper. It's the difference between trying to monetize your awakening, a shout, and feeling a quiet curiosity to simply learn a new skill, like pottery or a language. This two-track life is your practice. You perform your duties as sacred maintenance, and in the quiet spaces between, you listen only for the honest whisper of what comes next. This is how you honor both the world and your soul. Ultimately, the reboot completes its cycle. The system comes back online, not with a jolt, but with a quiet hum. The void was not an ending, but the clearing of a hard drive, making space for a new operating system to be installed. As this new system boots up, motivation returns, but its very nature has changed. You have spent your life operating on a push mechanism. This was the frantic, insecure engine of the ego, constantly pushing you forward with a cocktail of fear, ambition, and the need for external validation. It was effective, but exhausting. It was the energy of striving. What replaces it is a pull mechanism. This is the quiet, gravitational force of the self. It doesn't push you with anxiety. It pulls you with a resonant sense of rightness. It's not about forcing yourself to do something. It's about feeling an undeniable alignment with an action. You begin to participate with the flow of life rather than attempting to conquer it. This shift feels like the difference between navigating a dark room with a frantic, narrow flashlight versus simply allowing the dawn to break. The ego's push is the flashlight, darting from object to object, creating sharp shadows, certain that its sliver of light is the only thing that's real. The self's pull is the dawn. It doesn't strive or scan. It gently floods the entire room with light, revealing the connections that were there all along. Living in this new dawn requires a new skill. Forget asking a new set of questions. That's just the old mind looking for a new script. The real work is to cultivate the practice of noticing. Your only task is to notice the subtle difference in your body and your spirit between the energetic shout of an ego-driven should and the quiet, calm, resonant hum of a soul-led pull. When an opportunity or idea is presented, the practice is to be still for a moment and simply notice. Does this feel like anxious, grasping energy, or does it feel like a quiet, expansive curiosity? That is the only compass you need. Honing your ability to discern that subtle physical difference is the entire practice. It will lead you not back to who you were, but into the effortless action of who you have become.